Also earlier, Joe mentioned the new piece by politics editor for Politico, David Siders, who recently visited Wisconsin to understand how and why the state's turnout for April's Supreme Court election resulted in such a dominant win for Democrats. And David joins us now. David, I'm wondering what you found, how much this has to do with the issue of abortion, and if so, is this trend transferable given where the country stands on it?
Yeah, I think it's hugely about abortion, as I mean, it was clear in all the polling, and you look at an 11-point win there. I think really confirming what maybe we knew about abortion and how it would play politically going back to Kansas. And I was watching the show earlier talking about the suburbs and is it transferable? Yes, definitely in those areas. I think that's the concerning thing for Wisconsin Republicans, is that you could take a place like Dane County, where Madison is, or Milwaukee, and chuck it out of the election results in April, these hugely Democratic power centers, and Democrats still would have won that race that was really fought almost entirely along abortion lines.
David, I mean, it was just earth-shattering. I didn't expect, though, as many Republican leaders to admit that to you on the record. But my gosh, you talked to so many Republican leaders in Wisconsin who said, we've lost the state for a while. One guy at a Republican event said their only solution might be, jokingly, I'll add, to kill all the millennials, because they just fear they've lost the youth vote in Wisconsin for a very long time.
Yeah, I think, some people look at the issue of abortion and say, why don't Republicans fix it? And it's not as if the people who are hard right on abortion, who are against exemptions, who want an outright ban. Many of them are aware of the political realities of this. They know that it's a bad thing for them when it comes to winning elections. And I think what's fascinating to me is talking to people who know that and maintain that position anyway. And I think there's a lot of that going on in Wisconsin, along with, there is a lot of understanding that abortion is going to be very bad for Republicans in Wisconsin. Let's keep in mind, though, that we're still a ways out from next year's election. It's not going to be an 11-point state in a presidential election, and things like inflation, crime, dominant issues traditionally may become more important again next year. And so I don't think it's as if they're definitely going to lose the next election. I think it's that abortion is a very big problem for them.
Yeah, I mean, and Jen, you look not just in Wisconsin, you look in red states like Kansas, like Kentucky. I mean, this is such a loser issue for Republicans. We've again, Mika and I were talking about our friends and relatives that came over the Easter break, people that probably never voted for a Democrat in their life, all telling these horrific stories about women who are suffering now in the worst ways. And so, and Jen, this goes to what we were talking about at the top of the show about Republicans who, for some reason, are more interested in owning the libs than they are in winning elections. The Wisconsin legislature knew before that Supreme Court race that they had a near total abortion ban that was passed in 1849 that was political suicide, and yet they did nothing to add anything, like add any exemptions that would make it more palatable. So they lost by 11 points in a race they could have won. It's just, again, it just makes no sense how blinded so many Republican legislators are across the nation.
And this is Wisconsin, which has a pro-life tradition. Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, states that traditionally had a lot of Catholic voters, that traditionally were more pro-life than other states, even though they were largely considered blue. I mean, this is happening in Wisconsin. And David, in your piece, you talk about how it's not even just the suburbs, right? It's redder parts of the state that also turned out in huge numbers. And I know you talked to Ben Wickler, who's the head of the Democratic Party in Wisconsin, somebody who for a while now has put a lot of money, a lot of effort into infrastructure. Do you think, I mean, is this all just abortion, or do you think that part of the victory is about the Democratic Party trying to build up infrastructure in the state as well?
Oh, it's a great point. I mean, as you point out, an issue doesn't win alone, and clearly there were tactical things on the ground. Ben, I think, is looked at by Democrats around the country as one of the most effective state chairs, largely because he can just raise piles and piles and piles of money. A lot of social media and raising. They also changed their tactics. I think a few weeks before the election, they'd assumed kind of a normal turnout model for an April election, which would be very, very small, and realized on the doors that the people who they might not have been targeting, not reliable voters, were interested in voting, largely around abortion. So that was, I think, a marriage of the issue and then tactics. And then you can't discount that a lot of Republicans say, look, our candidate in that race was not the ideal candidate. And it's not as though Republicans haven't won while abortion's been on the table. I mean, Ron Johnson won re-election last year, and he was going into that election one of the most vulnerable incumbents in the country, right? So, I think a lot of it does have to do with tactics and with the Democratic infrastructure in Wisconsin becoming a lot more robust than it was traditionally.
And you know, you're so right about the candidate, Dave. A lot of people said, well, he lost a couple of years before, but as your piece pointed out, the numbers that came out to vote were numbers unlike anything anybody had ever seen in this type of election.
Now, those numbers are mind-blowing. I think you're talking about 2015, about 800,000 people voting. Here we are in 2023, more than 1 million more than that. I mean, it's just, wow. It's staggering numbers. If the suburbs around Milwaukee behaved in ways that suburbs elsewhere around the country did, this wouldn't even be close, right? But you keep seeing Democrats chipping away at those margins in the suburbs, and that's really, I think, changing the dynamic of Wisconsin. Now, that being said, I think of all the swing states, Wisconsin, there's a good case to be made that Wisconsin's the most likely to flip back in 2024. It has the right kind of demographics for Republicans. I don't think this is a lost state for the GOP forever. I think abortion just makes it very, very hard.
Well, the trend lines are just very bad, Mika.
The piece is entitled Numbers Nobody Has Ever Seen, How the GOP Lost Wisconsin. Politics editor at Politico, David Siders, thank you very much for sharing it with us this morning.